Welcome to Films and Stuff with your hosts, Pete Mitchell and Ethan Hunt.
Pete, welcome back. Films and Stuff, new day, new episode. How are you doing?
I am great, Ethan. How are you?
I'm good. I think we had a busy week. We caught up on Andor, episode 10. We had the premiere of Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, which we'll talk about in a subsequent episode. And we had our watch party for Amazon's The Peripheral.
Yep, that's absolutely right. And for those of you who are new listeners, welcome. But every Friday, Ethan and I host a watch party on Amazon Prime. We send out links every Friday. We aim to start at 6 p.m. London time, 10 p.m. Dubai time. We'd like you to join us. We watch the episodes together. We discuss what happened on the episode. We have a nice chat about it. And we look forward to the next week after.
Yep, it's BYOB. Okay, you mentioned The Peripheral in our watch party. Should we dive into The Peripheral and what happened this last episode, episode 5 that we watched?
Absolutely. For those of you who aren't in on what's going on in The Peripheral, the very quick recap is that Flynn, played by Chloe Grace Moretz, has access to this VR device, VR/AR device, that actually connects her to a robot in the future. And she can control that from the past. And we won't get into too much details as to how this works and what the effects are. It's irrelevant at this point for that. But she's been tasked to do a mission for these people who hire her from the future. And that is to find out to what happened to one of their, let's say, colleagues/gang members/whatever you want to call it.
Alita is her name.
Alita, who's gone missing. Exactly.
So what the big, maybe not reveal, but the information we finally got now in this episode 5 was we know that Alita stole something. We didn't really know what it was though, right? So now we've gone back and we see that, and tell me if this is right. I'm going to summarize what I got out of it. Pete, you tell me if I am picking this up correctly. Alita knew this Dr. Grace Hogard, who is a scientist at the Research Institute. Apparently, Alita and Hogard went to university together and they had some type of romantic relationship. It ended. Grace moved on with her life. She's got a husband and kids, and she's a scientist at the Research Institute. Alita wants to somehow find out what the Research Institute is doing, although I thought that she also works there. But she
does, in a different department.
In a different department. So she somehow gets wind of like what's going down on this lower level. She knows that her old lover, Grace, has some involvement in it. So she reaches out to Grace and says, "Hey, Grace, let's go get a drink." They go get a drink. They have some wine. They get a little bit giggly and flirty. And Alita says, "Hey, why don't you show me your office?" Right? Grace, and this is where... Am I on the right track so far?
Yeah.
Okay. Grace decides, hey, why don't I just take this lady after hours on a tour of this top secret area and basically spill all the beans about how it works and what it's doing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So they go down there and Grace says, hey, this is what we call, what do they call it? The God font?
Yep, that's exactly right.
And it's like this green crystal pyramid or something. And basically what I understand that this can do is it can go in the past. So it's kind of a time machine. And she says that they're running like 8,000 studies in like different stubs, right? So which are different like past
universes.
Right?
Yeah,
past
different paths. That's right.
Okay. So Alita is like totally freaked out about this. She's like, wow, you can't experiment on humans, even though they're in the past. And let's talk about how that works in the future. And that's where Alita now gets it in her head. This is very dangerous technology. I've got to destroy it / steal it, right?
Yes.
So this is the, I don't know what I'd say. This is the fundamental.
This is the MacGuffin.
This is
right?
the MacGuffin,
this is
right?
the thing that everyone is chasing after.
Yes. And somehow Alita has apparently managed to steal it.
Correct. And if you remember, that is what Alita did with
Episode
Chloe
1.
Grace Moretz in the beginning of the
actually with her brother. With her brother.
Well, with her brother's body, but
Yes.
it was her doing it. That's right.
Correct. So can we, before we move on to the rest of this episode, do you think it makes sense for you and me to just try to understand a little bit more about the relationship between the past and the future and this, I guess, stub thing?
So I had a few things that I thought were a bit plot hole-ish,
Yes.
but I think I understand where they're going with this. The idea is that the world as it stands today is, let's call it the central timeline, okay? Or let's call it the prime timeline.
Okay.
For
prime time.
For argument's sake, okay?
Okay.
And they've experienced some kind of huge natural disaster.
Correct.
And so they're now in the process of kind of building society back up.
Okay.
And in order to do that most efficiently, most effectively, and fast, what they've done is they've invented this device that can go back, not just in time, but they don't want to do it in their own timeline, in the prime timeline, because if you change your own past, you don't know what's going to happen in your future, right?
Yes, Marty McFly.
It would affect your affect your present. This is the same Back to the Future logic.
Yes.
So, what they've discovered, though, is that there is a multiverse, and that time branches out, and that universes branch out based on, any number of things. And this machine can access the timeline of other branches.
Can I just make a pause here?
Yep.
I don't understand that. You're saying there's a central timeline, right?
Yep.
Okay, you go back in time and you're saying, I don't want to change anything, right? So we're in 2022. I want to go back to 2021 when we started this podcast, right? And smash your microphone so that you can't speak. Okay? If I go back to 2021, I smash your microphone, then
this podcast doesn't exist.
Your microphone doesn't exist, and I'm just talking by myself now, right?
Exactly, in 2022.
Okay. Does my life in 2022 continue? Like, am I going on and I'm in 2024 now?
But that's the point, is you don't know that.
Yeah.
And they don't want to risk, because they don't know what would happen.
Right. So how did they create this stub, this alternate?
Yeah, so they explained that in episode, I think 2 or 3, I can't remember. They did mention it, but, and don't hold me to this, but I think the idea was that every action and every decision results in a branching timeline.
That makes sense. So I go back to 2021, I smash your microphone, that results in a new timeline, right?
Or vice versa, that the decision that you have to make is so it's either a yes or no. Right now, we're in the prime timeline. You said no, and that's why 2022, I still have a microphone.
Okay.
However, in an alternate timeline, you said yes, you smashed the podcast, my microphone, and that created another branch. So they do the testing on the other branches, not on their current timeline, because they don't know what would happen in the present. So it's a very elegant way to test technology and do experiments with real world results without affecting your own timeline.
Yes, but it would affect the Pete and Ethan.
Of course.
Right.
But why would the Pete and Ethan of this timeline care about what happens to the Pete and Ethan of another timeline?
Yeah.
That's why
that Russian guy killed all the other Russian guys of him in other timelines. He's like, I don't want them to potentially suffer, right?
Or he's just like, I want to be the only one that exists because he's got a huge ego.
And that's weird to like have an ego against yourself, but I get the point.
But that's my point. So the point is that this becomes, I guess, like, very Nolan-esque. Yeah. This is the moral quandary that this experiment poses.
You're right.
And the Research Institute doesn't care about the moral quandary because they're only interested in getting results for their current timeline.
Okay.
And everybody else in other timelines be damned.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Okay.
Which is why, and we saw that in this last episode, Flynn and Burton and all these guys who are working for this group in the future are basically their pawns in the past. And so that's why she's that's the struggle that they're having right now, is how do we rectify that?
Why do you think it's so important for Charisse and the Research Institute to kill Flynn?
No, well, at this moment, up until this last episode, they thought that she had access to
Alita's
or
stuff.
that she had the data.
Mm-hmm.
She had the data, or she had the technology to get access to the God Fang again.
But that still doesn't make sense, right? Then they would want to take her alive. They wouldn't want to kill her. If she has it and it's missing, you would think that if any of the groups that they hired to kill her would have taken her out, they'd be like, great, now she's dead. We still don't know where it is, right?
Well, I agree. And I think we'll learn more about that.
Which is why Wilf at least is making a little bit more sense, where he's like, hey, we need you to tell us where it might be,
Yeah. No, and I don't disagree. I think this is just, it's a plot contrivance.
Yeah.
And B, I think it's also something we'll learn more about over the next couple episodes. What I like about this show, it wasn't until episode 5 that we get the backstory of what's going on for this series.
Mm-hmm.
We had 4 full hour-long episodes before we learned why we're here. And I kind of like that, right? It was an elongated flashback.
Yeah. I mean, what I like most about this is how it's split between kind of the near future and the way, way future. I like this dichotomy of the two different worlds. Like, that's really compelling to me, the flipping back and forth. I have to say, typical Nolan, this is sometimes the rules seem to be made up a little bit as he goes. I mean, I know it's not easy because he is making up the rules. He's writing a story, but just in terms of how still kind of the stubs work, and again, how you can go back into the past and have the past be communicating with the future, that just doesn't really seem to make sense, right? Like, unless you're just saying life is like this big loop and you can just go back and then it's just playing out. That seems a little bit strange. And another thing you and I have noticed is that for people in the future, and even Flynn has pointed this out, they seem to know a lot of stuff, but they're not very good at like predicting important details,
Yes. And so the reason I thought about that, so that's what I was thinking was, I think the reason I understand that, or the reason I can justify that, is because they're taking a guess as to what's happening in another stub. And because they don't have access to that full data anymore because of Alita stealing it, I think they're having a hard time actually figuring out exactly what happens.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that's a good explanation. I'm just saying that's the most reasonable one that I could understand.
Because the scientist, right, Hogard, she said that they were running 8,000 different studies and stubs. So let's assume that they're not running one study per stub. They're running multiple studies and stubs, right? Just to make it easy. Let's just say there's 10 stubs, right? How did Wilf and the Russian know, or how did they care to go reach to this particular stub and choose Flynn?
So I think what they had been doing was, remember in the first episode we see them play that VR game?
Yeah.
I think that game was how they selected her.
Okay.
Because she was the only one who reached level 100.
Yeah.
So I imagine, and again, this is me maybe reading too much in between the lines.
Yeah.
I imagine they had that AR and VR game running in all the stubs to see if there was anyone who could get to that level, and
Got
she
it.
was the first one.
And I guess they have the ability to go. I mean, we don't really explore time travel, right? We see this God font, but we don't really see how this works.
Yeah,
No.
I mean, we don't know anything
Right.
about how it works.
So, I mean, they must have like some machine or something, right? Because they've created, as you and I mentioned.
Because they're not sending anyone through time. They're
Yeah.
sending data streams, right?
Yeah.
They're sending information.
It's actually the opposite of how, remember the Terminator? The future, remember the machines, sent the Terminator, and they're like, look, we can't send metal. We can't even send clothes, right? Because everyone ended up naked. So it
has to be organic material.
Yes. And now they're saying, which is a little bit more realistic, hey, we can just send text message.
Zeros and ones, basically.
Yeah. Right? So they're saying, okay, so but again, you and I overthink it, but that's why we have this show, right?
Yeah, exactly.
How exactly? So they're like, hey, let's send this pair of VR goggles and make sure that some company sends them to Flynn, right? Or who they think is Flynn's brother. How does this work? Like they just...
No, so they didn't send the VR goggles in time.
Right, but
they sent the instructions to make it onto the 3D printer company. The 3D printer company printed it out and sent it.
So they just basically sent like a purchase order, like
Blueprint.
an invoice, and saying, hey, dear company, please print this and send it to this address.
Exactly.
And we've wired money.
Exactly.
And wire transfers work that way as well, which is convenient.
Well, clearly, right? I mean, look, my point is that they set up this, what was it, the Venezuelan company or something like that? There was a Latin American company that they set up, and that was their front.
Okay.
So if you... Look, it's not too much of a stretch. You and I could set up a company in anywhere in the world without having to go to that company, right?
Okay,
so
I've got it.
If you can already transmit instructions via email today, you could theoretically do that through this data transfer across timelines.
I'm cool
theoretically.
with that. Yeah. How do the cars work?
Yeah, that's something we discussed yesterday, right? Yeah. After the watch party, which is, look, at some point, this is the Batman paradox.
This is why you should join Watch Party, by the way. You can help us explore these issues.
This is the Batman paradox. At some point, the infrastructure that you're sending back and creating is so big that people will start to notice. If you don't have invisible cars in your timeline, which of course they didn't, who's building invisible cars? Are you telling me that all cars can be 3D printed? And if so, at some point, someone's going to recognize, I have the world's first invisible car here. What am I doing working at this FedEx store?
Yeah.
I'd rather just go and sell this technology to Ford and make a couple $2 billion and call it a day.
What is the Batman paradox?
The Batman paradox, or not paradox, but the Batman issue was, how does Batman, under his mansion, build a car, have all these batarangs, have a jet plane? It's just him and Alfred.
Pennyworth.
It's just him and Alfred.
Yeah.
So how is he supposed to have all this technology? At some point, someone's going to realize, someone at Boeing or Airbus is going to recognize, hey, how come we got an order from Bruce Wayne to build a plane in the shape of a bat? And then how come we never see Bruce Wayne and Batman in the same room together? Oh, wait a minute. Maybe Bruce Wayne is Batman.
No, we got this solved in Better Call Saul.
I agree.
Right? Where they had the Germans and housed them on a smaller scale.
Or kill them after.
And kill them after.
That's the point. But that's the point is that's what I mean. Is it Batman's gadgets get to such a scale where you have to look, you can see Alfred sitting there at night making 1,000 batarangs for Batman. Yeah. That's fine. That's small scale. But when you're starting to talk about jet engines for his bike, for his car, for his airplane, more than just the two of them are required. So the Batman movies with Christopher Nolan.
With Christopher Bale. The Bale ones in Christopher Nolan, you're right, explained it a little bit where he's like, hey, I've got...
But even in that movie, they had to involve Lucius Fox, and even he figured it out, right? Yeah. Where he was just like, listen.
Yeah. Wayne
What
Enterprises.
does a billionaire playboy need a military-grade Batmobile for?
Correct.
Clearly, you're Batman, right?
Yeah.
And he figures it out.
Mm-hmm.
That's my point, is that at some point, somewhere, someone along the line has to figure out what's going on. Because not everybody is a billionaire. So your average worker is going to figure it out.
I think the second part of this, again, join watch party, is not only is it the 3D printing of that, but who is driving this? Because at the end, we see this Irish dude, right? Bob or Rob, with Tommy, the sheriff. And the sheriff's car gets smashed by this indestructible, invisible, super cool looking Audi, right?
Yeah.
Who's driving that car?
We'll find out more. That's just a nice cliffhanger. We'll see who else is out on the field for these guys. Because
that cannot be a person. As far as we know, they haven't sent any people back to the future or back to the past.
Yeah. Here's my, you know what my instinct is now?
Hot instinct? What's your hot instinct?
It's that the Russian guy sent someone back. And he's going to use Tommy as leverage against Flynn. He's definitely not the good guy. Let's put things very clear. They're clearly not telling us everything about why this Russian guy wants to be involved. So it's clearly going to be a case where Wilf is getting played by these guys too.
Yeah.
And then ultimately, I just get that feeling.
I
think it's going to be Flynn and Wilf versus these two factions in the future.
I think that's right. Because I thought that was a very big issue because, again, I'm not sure who's driving these cars. And the first time, it was like this gang that the
mercenary hit squad,
they shot up, right? And I could kind of see like, okay, they paid them a lot of money. They gave them the cars. Then they kind of abandoned the cars.
Then Tommy took both of those cars.
It's not really clear where Tommy put them, but he definitely discovered them. Now someone either has the same car or a new car, and they've smashed it. And I was thinking, look, if this is going to be Charisse, or whatever that new Peripheral is, the guy who died, Daniel, they should have just killed Rob or Bob. They shouldn't have taken him from the car. They should have just like killed him. And if you leave Tommy alive or dead, that's probably irrelevant. He's collateral. But if you really wanted Bob, you should have taken him. So I agree. I think you made a very good point. I didn't think of it. Kudos to you. I agree. That seems to have the Russians' Klep's fingerprints all over it then.
But again, that's the beauty of the show. To be determined. I think there's another 5 episodes to go, and we'll figure out where it goes from there. What's really interesting for me for this show in particular is like normally I like speculating as to where the next episode or where the series is going. You've seen that. We love to do that with Andor. We love to do that with, we love to do that with all these other shows that we've been watching. With this one in particular, though, I think because it's so new and because it's such an unknown IP to me, I think I'm actually kind of happy with them. I'm letting them hold my hand and drag me through where I need to go. Yeah. And I'm not so concerned about making guesses as to who's involved and why and how. I'm kind of happy with the show just kind of unfolding.
I agree. I mean, it's also very difficult to guess when the rules are not clear, right?
Yeah.
For a lot of the other shows that we watch and we make, like prognostications, it's because we know the framework that we can guess within, right? So like if you were to ask, like, where is Alita? It's not clear because it's not clear like what the rules are for her. Like, is she just hiding in someone's house? I doubt it. Did she go to a different stub to try to use this technology to like erase the technology? Maybe that's more likely. But again, we have no way of knowing what timeline that is in, or whether she went to the future or to the past or what she's doing, right? Because we don't really know the rules of how she can move around. But my sense is that still, that first episode where it was Flynn's brother and she took him up to that green pyramid, the God font. She said, your eye. And then she's like, your other eye. And it was his real eye.
His real eye, exactly.
And to me, that somehow means that like she uploaded the code to him. I mean, then we get into pure speculation, which is he like some type of robot and not a real brother? Is it because of his haptics? Is it because of any other number of things? But is, as far as I'm aware, based on that scene, she planted all the information somehow in him. And then she's just like, she went and she killed the other peripherals, right, that were responsible for taking the eye in that safe house. And then she just hid somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, I get the feeling that what could be, it could also be that she has the data and she just doesn't know it. I think that, when she scanned the peripheral's eye, but it was Flynn, I think that data is in Flynn's brain. And I think that's why she's been getting the blackouts.
Oh.
And this quote-unquote virus that she's got.
Oh, I made a very good note. You're 100% right, Pete. 100% right. All numbers approximate. So remember, they went to the doctor. Yeah. And these are the things that Nolan does to lull you to sleep, right? You kind of want to black out
such a
during the
mundane
scene.
thing. Exactly.
But they said something, and the doctor said, you've got this bacteria in your occipital lobe or something like that, right? I don't know how they got that because they were just doing like a spinal tap. But the point was...
Oh, no, they did an MRI in the last episode.
Oh, yeah. But somehow I agree that bacteria may be not bacteria, but it's the data.
Exactly. Because she was like, it's kind of like a viral meningitis kind of thing, but I've never seen this before.
Yes.
And certainly not in the occipital nerve.
Correct.
I think that's what happened. When she scanned the eye, I think that data got transmitted through the God font, through the peripheral, through the time streams into her brain.
Yes.
And so she doesn't know it, but she is the carrier of the data.
Correct. I agree with you. Makes sense. I can't wait for episode 6. I'm really
to
loving
be
this
determined.
Show.
Yeah, likewise. I think it's great. I think it's brilliant. I think it's sci-fi that we haven't really seen before, which is rare. So I like that.
Okay.
Shall we transition to Andor very quickly? Not much to say there, but...
Oh, man. I think we've got a lot to say on Andor. What do you think of this? The escape has finally happened.
Escape finally happened, but kind of really fast, huh? Like it came out of nowhere.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing, that I was looking forward to... I mean, I remember when we had the...
setup of the heist, right?
Remember when we had the eye and how elaborately planned that was?
Yeah.
I thought this was going to be also like super cool. They were going to find a way that they could like walk on the floor and they were going to sneak out through a shaft or something. And instead it was just a numbers game.
It was not, and it was like almost the most mundane of prison breaks.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be a little bit more like Ocean's 11 style. Where they were going to do fake outs, where they had that, and as you rightly pointed out, they did 3 episodes or 2.5 episodes of setup before the heist in Aldhani.
Yeah.
I thought they would do the same, where they were just like, all right, we finally have Andy Serkis on board.
Yeah.
Let's do this. Let's do the scope outs. Let's, let's on the back of our food trays, let's sketch out the plans as to where everyone's going to be. And everyone is kind of sharing information and data in code at night. And then you have 2 episodes of this really deep, look behind how the prison works. And then the breakout in episode 12.
Yeah, I was really hoping for something, I agree, something like super cool and just really interesting. And, Cassian kind of noticed like a few things and they took advantage of it. And this was...
It seemed a little anticlimactic because of that. It felt a little unearned. I'm not saying it wasn't unearned. I'm just saying it felt a little fast for what was happening.
Not just fast, but also... I mean, I'm really surprised this was a prison, that there wasn't like some just simple button that would have like shut all like the blast doors or something, and just cordoned everybody off. I was really surprised. Everything, like you said, it happened very fast, but no one like sounded an alarm or like tried to close areas off or anything. It was just a little bit like underwhelming to me.
That's what I meant by saying maybe there's not so much to say for Andor in that regard, at least on the Cassian Andor side.
Yeah. What did you think though of the speech by Kino Loy?
I loved it. I thought it was your typical Andy Serkis gravitas. It went from a guy who was just trying to be his usual administrator self, breaking that shackles. Like you can see the shackles breaking, and then him being this passionate guy. We're never getting out of here alive, so this is our only chance, right?
Yeah. I have to say I read a few online reviews, and they were effusive in their praise for the speech. I listened to it again, and I thought it was
I mean, I don't know if it was noteworthy, but I thought it was good.
Yeah, it was fine. And then there was a lot about, how I don't know if this is really true, but I read something where he was so selfless because he knew that this, Narkina 5 was in the middle of water, and he knew he couldn't swim, so he knew he'd never be able to escape. But I think that's not true for two reasons, right? One, we know he escapes because we've seen him in Rogue One, right? I thought he's in Rogue One. Is he not? And then the other thing is, grab something that can float.
Certainly if you have, I feel like this is health and safety 101. If you've set up an offshore base, you must have life rafts. I
was gonna think there's got to be some hovercraft. There's got to be something, but
something
for sure you can just grab a mattress or something's got to be able to float. No one's saying that you should just not escape or that you're gonna drown. Just grab something that floats. What about Luthen and his big speech scene with Lonnie at the end? That's kind of a big reveal, right?
That was a great reveal, by the way. I didn't think that... There was a part of me for a moment that thought that Amira, she was the inside
Deidre
agent.
Mira. I thought it prior episodes, not in the last 2 or 3, but initially when I met her, I thought the same thing. And then at one point I was thinking that the dude that she was always butting heads with, right? Who didn't think that there was such a big issue. Yeah. But Lonnie...
I thought he was too obvious because Doc Brown is his real name. But yes, I thought he was too obvious to be the inside man.
Yeah.
I thought that would have been the greatest reveal, was to have someone who's this hyper focused on success, almost militant person, also be the one that actually betrays the Empire from inside. I thought that would have been great.
We had no reason to, right? I mean, this is the typical ghost trooper. He comes out of nowhere. There's no reason that we could have even guessed him rather than anybody else, right?
Exactly. He was such a bland character in the other episodes that he was just kind of he might as well have been background.
Yeah. He should have been. It would have been better if they would have given him a little bit more, so it could have been more of a surprise, right? Or not a surprise. But, I mean, I thought that whole scene between him and Luthen was a little bit uncomfortable. And
but I think it was meant to be.
It was meant to be, but I love Andor. I mean, I really sincerely love this show because of these details and because of this background. But, and this isn't a criticism of the show, this is a statement about my feelings. When we watched A New Hope, the rebels were good, the Empire was bad, right? Mm-hmm. Same with Return of the Jedi, same with, Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. The prequels, 1, 2, and 3, fine, it didn't change anything. Rogue One didn't change anything. In Andor, it's really disappointing that are the rebels the good guys? I mean, we know the Empire is the bad guy. No one's defending the Empire at all. But are the rebels really good?
So that's the thing, is that this is why I like the show, is that it's not portraying the rebels as these white knights who are the saviors of the day. It's showing them to be real life humans who are saying, hey, listen, if we have to dirty our hands, we will. And that's the reason I really like Cassian's in Rogue One. Right? Because the first time we see Cassian Andor in Rogue One, he kills an informant. Because he says, we cannot sacrifice the mission for one man. Which is antithetical to what we see in other superhero movies, right? Where,
Yeah.
for
No
example,
Man Left
Captain
Behind.
America,
Yeah.
No Man Left Behind, and Captain America most famously in Avengers says, we don't trade lives.
Yeah.
Which is...
When does he say
we'll
that?
Find,
When does he say
this
that?
is when Vision offers to sacrifice himself at the end of Infinity War.
God bless. Steve Rogers is so pure, right?
He's exact, but that's what I'm saying is he's like the embodiment of purity, right? And that's kind of what we expect from our good guys, which is, hey, we will not sacrifice our morals and ourselves unless we absolutely have to. And even then, we will never sacrifice our morals. So we will find a solution if and when we can and how we can. And if we lose, we lose together.
And Luthen is the opposite though, right? In Luthen's big speech, and again, I watched it a second time, he asks, what did I sacrifice? I sacrificed calm, kindness, kinship, love. Yep. I lost any chance at inner peace. I gave up 50 years. I will be damned for what I do. It's because of my anger, my ego, my eagerness to fight. I will be a savior without even thinking about the cost. He says, I'm condemned to use the tools of my enemy to defeat them. I have lost my decency for someone else's future. There will be no audience to appreciate me. I have sacrificed everything. That's powerful, but do you believe it?
You know why I believe it is because it was another scene where he's talking about the cost of men, where he's like, it's only 50 men.
Yeah.
He sees that as a negligible cost in the grand scheme of things. And, again, in the grand scheme of things, if you think of like World War I, World War II, etc., what is the cost of 50 men's lives? When you're talking about millions of people's, 50 lives is nothing. But at the end of the day, 50 lives is still 50 lives, right? Yeah. Even one life is one life.
Yeah.
And that's his point, is that, look, in the grand scheme of things, I don't care if we have to lose 50 men for this one operation to succeed, because that could result in us saving 1 billion lives or 10 billion lives. And that's what matters to me. So I think he's all in. And he doesn't care if he goes down in the history books as the most evil or most ruthless man.
Yeah. I mean, that's very much the opposite of what Steve Rogers would say, right?
Exactly. Look, they're both on the side of justice. They're both on the side of good. One leans toward saying we were going to find a solution. We believe in ourselves and we believe in other people so much that we'll find a solution to do it without sacrificing lives. Whereas the other says, hey, it's not about believing in ourselves. It's about doing what's right and fast, the most efficiently possible.
Yeah. Anyway, that was kind of the big reveal at the end. It was Luthen's speech. And I think then the only other issue, and it was very, very small, was Mon Mothma. Is she going to be the same as Luthen? Is she gonna go with this dude?
Well, we know that she's not really.
Yeah.
I suspect that she thinks that she's going to have no choice, and I still have hope that she finally ends up getting Jimmy Smits involved.
Something is going to happen with her husband. I'm still on the fence. He is either going to surprise her and also be supporting the rebellion, or he is going to turn her in.
Yeah. And neither of those would be a shock.
I agree. And I think they've done it deliberately, because then when that dude, Davo, came, he said, I met your husband a few times.
Yeah.
It would not be surprising if the husband is like, oh, you're rebellion? I'm rebellion. I've been doing this.
Yeah, exactly. For sure.
And their love is
he's
rekindled.
Got a dark past. Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure, he's got a shady past. Something going on.
But I don't see him as, except for Mon Mothma's comments about him, do you see him as a bad guy? He's never really done anything to deserve a bad reputation, right? He's always been cheery. He's always been like, oh, this is boring, or, oh, why are you so serious? Or he's never actually been done anything rude or asshole-ish in any episode, right?
You're right that way, but I think that it's just the expectation of the husband or wife of a politician is to kind of be like super cheery, super enthusiastic, and super involved and supportive. Yeah. And one thing is for sure, he does not seem like a supportive guy. And moreover, we saw that he is openly willing to pit their daughter against the mother, right? We saw that in the first episode.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think also because it's Mon Mothma and I have like nostalgia for Mon Mothma, I automatically side with her over her husband, who's been portrayed as maybe not the best of guys.
I agree.
Maybe.
So this is episode 10. We've got 2 more, right?
That's right.
Oh, all right. Stay tuned. Okay, so that is The Peripheral and Andor episode 10. Join us next Friday for our next watch party, episode 6 of The Peripheral.
If you guys have an idea as to what's going to happen in Andor, or if you have any comments or thoughts about this, let us know. Drop us a comment at this video, like and subscribe, send us an email, aloha@filmsandstuffpodcast.com, or tweet at us at FNSPodcast.
We shall be here. Pete, pleasure as always. Listeners, thank you for listening. Have a lovely day ahead, everybody.
Thanks, Ethan.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Films and Stuff. If you haven't already, please subscribe and review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever podcasts are downloaded. Films and Stuff. There is no substitute.